So that's an image of the Keerrong Valley. It's taken from a midpoint by Chris Clark, looking north towards the Channon during February last year. And this is a photo which I took of the gauge shed at the Channon. It's just behind the pub. And it was a month after the terrible mega flood. And it was from that moment when I was worried about people, because we've been helping people with our emergency centre, and I knew that people in downstream, particularly in the Keerrong Valley, how important it is for them to have data on what's happening. And when I realised that there was no data, there was zero for the second flood, because the rain for the second flood was happening when I took this photo, that's when I thought, oh my God, these people have got nothing to look at. Because that gauge shed had been completely submerged and was wrecked, and the rain gauge at Terania had been dysfunctional for a long time and ceased working on the 3rd of February, and that wasn't going to be working. So I thought, we've got to do better than this. So just a brief, situate ourselves. This is the catchment that floods Lismore. And this is us. We're that bit. And the Terania Creek in the west, it rises up at Tuntable Falls, and then it comes down behind the pub where it meets, Tuntable Creek rises in the west at Tuntable Falls, comes down and joins up with Terania Creek just behind the pub. Rocky Creek comes down from the dam. It nips behind the Channon Oval, and it joins up with Terania Creek at Hugh and Nan Nicholson's place. And during a flood event, it's like you've got these 3 rampaging elephants, and they all join up at the Channon, and then they rampage down this valley. So I wanted just to help situate ourselves and realise that the Channon, these are the existing official rain and creek gauges. So there's one at Terania, at the Munro's place. Do you want to put your hand up so everyone knows? So Ian he hosts it on their land, and that was a big problem for us during that event. Ken, who's seated next to Ian, measured 930 millimetres in 18 hours with 3 overflow events. So there was a metre of rain up there that was missed during that event. That was a big problem. So there's also at the Channon, there's the creek and the rain gauge, and these were knocked out on the night of the mega flood. There's also a rain gauge at Dunoon, which worked throughout and is well situated as far as I can tell. So I think many of us are confused by what appear to be flood warnings that come to do with the dam, that many people seem to think that these are actual flood warnings. And a flood warning has to relate to the entire catchment, but really they're just to do with, and this is not to diminish them in any way, but it's important to know that they are to do with the spillway at Rocky Creek Dam, and James is going to explain to us, and this is great that you can do this, James. So I think it's really important that we all know that what have appeared to be flood warnings, in fact, are not comprehensive flood warnings for our communities. And that's what we're doing. We're doing so much better by getting everybody working together to make that happen. So one really great thing was that the Channon Resilience wrote to Rouse County Council and asked if they would make the spillway data, and they have a rain gauge there, visible on the BOM, as they do in Queensland. Have a look, poke around at what they do in Queensland. It's so much better than New South Wales. So this is just great news. We've also engaged with the BOM. I've been up there with, we had a visit from 4 bomb people at the Channon, and we ended up up there, and Tom Lloyd, the dam manager, you know, and I think it's all going to happen, but I think there's some delay in this process, and we need to push for that. So that's on my agenda, that I want to see that spillway data on the bomb sooner rather than later. So when you look on the bomb, if you do a search for New South Wales bomb river levels, you'll get to something that looks like this. You look for the Wilson River, and when we get the Rocky Creek Dam on bomb, it's going to appear here, and it's going to be great, because everybody's going to be able to click on the word plot. See that cross? That's next to steady rising, falling. Just ignore that. It's just kind of crazy during these floods. It was meaningless during the February flood. So don't look at it. Nobody knows what it means. The flood can be about to race through your house, and bomb will say it's nice and steady or falling. But what you need to click on is that word plot. That's what you want to go to. You get a lovely graph and you can see the trend. So this is a field trip that we did, a number of us, up to Tuntable Falls Co-op, which is a big multiple occupancy up near the Tuntable Falls. And in the middle is Ian Dixon, who's a terrific person up there, who has not 1 but 3 rain gauges. He's very sciencey. He tests everything. So up there, they have a group of people who, they now have reflectors on the trees. This is their centre bridge in the community. They have reflectors on the trees for 22, and they're very motivated to, from now on, really get the level of major floods and have benchmarks for them. They also provide really good data on rain, and that's, for the first time, we actually have Tuntable Creek covered. So during October, there was a rain event that looked to be worse than it ended up. And what we did during that event was we activated the rain sentinels. And we also activated the CB radio, where I sent an email to everyone saying, and an SMS, switch on your CB radio. So we do that every event. But we activated the rain sentinels, who started taking observations at frequent intervals, like if they can manage it, every 2 hours. And that gives us precipitation rates, which is what we're really after. And I sat up in bed with my laptop, collating it, and also there were other people helping collate it. The internet was working, that was handy. At intervals I sent that data to the SES, and at about 10 p.m, we thought we better share this with people in our radio network, so we just sent the precipitation rates, and we did a radio blast at 10 p.m. You know, look at your email, you can see the precipitation rates. Now, we at the Channon can't give flood warnings. It's not appropriate for us to do that. The SES are the only people who can do that. But what we can provide is data. This is what the rain's doing. This is a work in progress, so we're improving this as we go, and I'm looking forward to having a meeting after this event with the SES and several other people to really think about how we can. There's a few decision points that we have to make, so I just want to let you know it's a work in progress. These are locations of our current rain sentinels. It's not the number of people. We can call on different people during an event. But I'm very keen to bring in some more rain sentinels. So we have in mind someone up on Newton Drive. It'd be great to get one on Rose Road, so work in progress. Ed and others in the SES will say how important it is to get to know what the volume of rain does on the ground. And this is a fortuitous photo I took in 2017, as it turned out, close to the peak. I took several photos at this time. And see that gate on my creek flat? Very handy gate, because it's got these horizontal poles. You know, it's made of horizontal metal. So I knew that the Channon Creek gauge was working. I knew that was 5 p.m. was the peak of that. So that reflective white band is 2017 at that location, and the reflectors are 350 mil above and below. It's a benchmark. So it means that I can tell even from my house, from my kitchen with a torch, I can tell if it's approaching 2017 or if it's above it. So I really strongly recommend that everybody, when we have these major floods, that you get out with your camera and look for a piece of infrastructure that gives this benchmarking opportunity. And take several photos, because it's a bit hard to tell when the peak is sometimes. And you'll have them time-stamped, and if we all do that, we'll build up a knowledge base for what the water does when a certain amount of rain falls, what it does on the land. Finally, I just wanted to show this photo because this is Jeremy Smith from the ANU, engineer. He was here, ANU got some money for some weather stations, electronic rain gauges, and we're just unpacking that up at Tuntable Falls. So, and I just also wanted to add this photo. This is Patrick Tatham's place at Wine, and Dave Smith is he's in the Channon Fire Brigade, but he's also part of the CB Radio Tech Know-How team. And Dave and I just went up to Patrick's place to see. Dave had a whole bunch of equipment which is running off his battery in his car, just to test the CB to the Channon. So I wanted to show some of the faces of the people who are doing things. So I think on that note, there is much more that I could share with you, but we will do it afterwards through communications subsequent to this event. Thanks.